It's The Converted Man versus William Lane Craig.
Welcome to Part 2. In Part 1, I asked 3 questions, but nobody answered them. My guess is that everybody was asleep by then, because WLC kind of has that effect on skeptics. I can deal with him. I can tolerate him. You can too. But just to keep you awake, I will do something entertaining at some point in the video. Hopefully it will rejuvenate and regenerize and revigorate and record this bit that I'm screwing up later. Remind myself to do that. Anyways, it will a lot of things in you so that you'll be able to be awake at the end of this video. Hopefully. Maybe. I don't know. On with the analysis.
Bad objection number 2. The Kalam cosmological argument is question-begging, for the truth of the first premise presupposes the truth of the conclusion. Therefore, the argument is an example of reasoning in a circle. Response to number 2. All the objector has done is describe the nature of a deductive argument.
Tweet! Tweet! Red alert! Tweet! Tweet! Red alert! Yeah. Hey, how's it going? I wanted to be in your video again. Am I in your video? Yes, you are. Are you happy now? Nobody likes you. Somebody likes me? No, no one likes you. Goodbye. And half-truth, as well as outright lie. Amazing. Just incredible. How does WLC do it? I'm not sure. And it's going to take me quite a bit to explain this, because what you have here is a half-truth, and then you have this outright lie using this half-truth in order to manipulate the words into the way the WLC wants them to act in his behalf. And this is not a way to argue, but nonetheless, WLC has constructed his response to this potential straw man of a rejection of the Kalam in such a way that people are going to miss it. Unless, of course, we educate those people, which hopefully this video will help to do. Towards the beginning of the video, WLC lays down the half-truth of what the Kalam cosmological argument is. WLC presented this slide of the Kalam cosmological argument. It's not the full argument, you have to understand. These are just the first 3 premises, but WLC acts as if this is the entire argumentation. See, 3 looks like a conclusion the way it's presented here, and I understand how WLC or somebody could be confused by therefore in the middle of an argument, but it's a sub-conclusion. It's not a true conclusion yet. We're building up and building up to what the inevitable conclusion is by what this is supposed to be a deductive argument. It's not a deductive argument. It falls apart on its face. It should have been a probabilistic argument rather than a deductive one, but I'll get to that later, maybe, possibly in this video, I don't know. But nonetheless, the half-truth is that this is the whole argument. It's not. The whole argument has as its conclusion God. Otherwise, what use is there for an apologist to present this argument at all? None. There's no use at all. Why bother if it doesn't eventually lead to your conclusion of God? So using this half-truth of this is the entire argument, Craig then outright lies and says when they say question-begging, they're just describing a deductive argument. They're not really objecting to the Kalam, and they've made a very elementary error. Ha 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 ha, we can all laugh at them.
Of confusing a deductive argument with a question-begging argument.
Question-begging argument? What? No. Look, it's... If you have question-begging in your argument is no longer valid. It doesn't become a question-begging argument. That doesn't even really make sense. Whatever. So, Craig has used this half-truth of what the Kalam cosmological argument is, combination with this outright lie, in order to say, no, the Kalam doesn't really beg the question. He didn't really defend the Kalam from the objection of begging the question, because his objection to that objection is not logically valid. So, what do we have? We have quite a quick video this time. Thank goodness for that. Boy, last time we had a long video. There isn't much else to talk about here. There's a small segment where Craig goes into detail with deductive arguments and how they function, and modus ponens and deductive syllogisms, and how those arguments are valid. And all of that's fine. He says somebody has even objected to the classical argument of Socrates is a man, men are mortal, therefore Socrates is mortal. And maybe somebody did object to that, and that person didn't understand logic and thought that that was a question-begging argument when it isn't. I don't know. But some of that stuff, and most of that stuff, is fine. There isn't anything that I can really object to there, except for the parts that tie back into him saying all of these things in order to promote the outright lie that I've already identified. So it's nothing that I can analyze further, which means I'm done. Alright, time to go home. Wait a minute.
1. Either God exists or the moon is made of green cheese. 2. The moon is not made of green cheese. 3. Therefore, God exists.
Ah, disjunctive syllogism. I do love you so. Okay, so obviously this is a begging the question, which Craig does explain, but wouldn't another begging the question be, I feel like God exists inside of me, therefore God exists? Wouldn't that be one as well? It's a good thing that Craig doesn't really rely on the arguments or logic at all in order to maintain his belief. He just relies on this question begging of his own experience to believe that God exists. See, God exists, I feel like God exists, therefore God exists. It's kind of a problem there for logic, but not a problem for WLC. And now for that entertainment that I promised you. Oh man, I feel like, there's something inside of me. It must be God. Oh, it was just gas. Oh, I was wrong. Well, I guess it's time to become an atheist. Thank you so much for your time and energy in listening to this video. Last time I asked you 3 questions. Hopefully you'll answer those 3 questions. Answer them in the other video, not here, or it will be really confusing. I would like you to, if you could, answer this question. Now, I have a dual purpose question. And even if you are a skeptic like I am, I want you to try to think of what the answer would be, or could be, and write out that answer for me. What is God made out of? What is God made from? With? We, and everything that we have observed, is made out of molecules and atoms and subatomic particles, and you can get really, really small until there's a point where our instruments just can't see if there's anything smaller, so maybe there is nothing smaller. Maybe ultimately we're made out of just this one tiny thing that's what we're made out of. Or maybe that itself is made out of nothing at all. It is what it's made out of. Could God be made out of that? Well, if that's physical, and I've been told that God is not physical, whatever that means, then what is it that God is made out of? And if there is no answer to that question, then God can't possibly exist. And if you're a skeptic like me, I try to inquire into what this answer could be. energy? Could it be energy? Energy is made out of stuff, though. Energy is part of the physical realm. At least that's what I've been told by some. But that would be what God would have to be made out of. It's the closest thing that I could get to being something that God could be made out of. At least that would be my answer. Maybe your answer matches mine. And to hear the theologian object to that potential answer, say, no, that's not what God's made out of, because that's physical, is extraordinary to me. How do you know? It doesn't say what God is made out of in the Bible. If that's what you're relying on, and maybe some holy book somewhere tells you what God is made out of, but it certainly isn't that one. So, what would that be? I've heard spirit, I've heard soul, but those aren't really answers, because we still have to ask the question of what those things are made out of. I've heard it say God is love, but love is nothing more than a chemical, electrical thing. So again, then God would have to be chemical, electrical, which means God would have to be physical. And if something physical can exist forever, then we don't need God. I look forward to your answer to this question, as well as your answers to the other 3 questions, but if you have answers for those 3 questions, leave them on the first video, not on this video, otherwise it will be confusing to other people. Thank you so much. And do we have a logically coherent argument? Well, right now we have 2 fallacies, so no, we don't, and unless and until we do, we have to continue to be skeptical of the conclusions.